Welcome everybody to another episode. I'm going to do a little bit different intro because I've got a lot of people on this show. I'm Jukebox Ginger, the host of Stardom. I've got three other podcasters here with me. First off, I've got Vinny. Vinny, say what's up.
What's up?
I also got Noel here.
Like the hair.
Beautiful redhead.
Both of these guys have two podcasts called Invasion of the Potty Snatchers and Dark Side of the Moon. All their stuff will be in the description later on after this. I've also got Roman from the Mr.Goodbeer podcast. How's it going?
How we doing, man?
Great, man. And then, of course, the one that we've all been waiting for, David. Is it Weiss?
Weiss like ice.
Weiss like ice. I like it, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Always love talking to a bunch of Globers.
For Globetrotters.
Give us a little bit of your background before we get too much into the topic.
Well, my short background is I grew up here on the East Coast in the United States, went to college, went to work for corporate America, worked my way up through the corporation I was in to the top. The corporation ended up being bought by another company and they shut down my division. So I started my own company. And the company was super successful. At the same time that was going on, I was doing a podcast about conspiracies and looking into all of the nonsense that's going on in the world. And people started sending me Flat Earth stuff in the third year. And this podcast was out of New York City. And I just ignored it. Like, Flat Earth, dumbest crap ever. I wouldn't even watch a 1-minute video because I was indoctrinated, just like you guys were. I'm going to say that's past tense because in the next 60 minutes, you guys are going to be fucked. Right? I'm gonna mess your mind up. I'm gonna change your life.
Don't trick me with a good time.
So just real quick, I walked away from my own business to do this, to talk to people like you, talk to other people, because we'll get to it by the end. This is the most important lie that the elite have. Why would they lie about Earth? What difference does it make? I still have to go to work tomorrow. Those are things that I said. And once you see it, you'll never be able to go back.
All right, I'm ready. Don't hurt us.
Don't worry.
I'm so excited.
So how'd you get into the Flat Earth, though? Like, specifically Flat Earth?
Well, so people started sending me Flat Earth stuff, and I literally ignored it. I said, this is dumb. I'm not looking into this. You're an idiot. And I blocked people from my social media for even suggesting that I look into it. So dumb. But then finally I got tired of it. And a researcher that I trust very much, she said to me, I think the Earth might be flat one day. And I said, oh, come on, not you too. And she goes, watch this video. And she sent me a couple of videos. And I was like, that's interesting, but the Earth is definitely not flat. And I started researching more. This was back in 2015, 2016. And that was back when you search Flat Earth, Google, YouTube would serve you the current real stuff that people were looking up. And I spent 2 weeks, day and night, trying to come up with one proof of the globe. Sticks and Shadows by Aristophanes, Boats Over the Curve, Day and Night, Seasons. None of it holds up when you actually look at it. You guys believe that the Earth is a ball, but you have no idea why. Like, I could ask you, how fast is the Earth spinning? You don't know. How fast is it orbiting the sun? You don't know. How far is the sun? You don't know.
Well,
right?
We have Google for that, though.
Well, I know, but Google.
The sun is 7 million miles away, I think, isn't it?
98 million miles away.
93. All of you are wrong, and those answers are even wrong. But how did they figure out the distance to the sun? It's nonsense once you look at it. You were told, you believe. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Belief is easy. You guys believe I live on the East Coast because I told you. You never verified it, so you believe it. But if you took maybe an hour or two, you could verify. You could find my high school yearbook, maybe find me on Facebook. You're like, yeah, this guy definitely is on the East Coast. Then you'll know. But until then, you believe. Belief is easy. Belief takes no effort. Knowing takes time and critical thought. And once you know that you are at the center of creation, that you are way more powerful than they led you to believe, then things change.
That's great. I like that.
That was an excellent intro.
I mean, it's true, though. I mean, religion, for example, religion, I mean, it's only what you're being told, right? I mean, the way you perceive a Bible or a book.
How long has flat Earth theory been around? It started basically as almost a religion at one point, didn't it?
That's also.
It was the most common belief at the time. It's the best information we had.
Well, actually, flat Earth is not as old as you think, right? Every ancient culture, every one of them was flat Earth until NASA came around, the religion of NASA. Okay, so we're told 2,000 years ago, Aristophanes in ancient Greece figured out the Earth is flat with his sticks and shadows. You know the sticks and shadows story with Aristophanes?
Yes.
Right. He believed that that all the sun rays come in parallel from a distant sun. Right. The question I have is, why the hell would he believe that when nobody has ever seen rays come in parallel? They're coming in crepuscular from a close local sun. Some globers will say, well, that's just refraction. Well, I don't care. Either way, they're not coming in straight, whether they're refracting or it's a close local sun. And when he does his sticks and shadows experiment, here's Aristophanes. He's the sun is directly above him. There's no shadow on his stick. His buddy 500 miles away, who counted his steps to figure out it was 500 miles and somehow was able to communicate with him. At the same time, there was a shadow on his stick, and he can measure the shadow, do some math, some really good math, and figure out the circumference of the ball. The problem is sun rays don't come in parallel. On a flat Earth where we claim we have a local small sun, just like we see it, here's Aristophanes, here's his buddy, here's the stick shadow. You can do the same math and figure out the sphericity of this flat plane, okay? It doesn't prove either. Right? But they brainwashed into believing that it does prove everything.
How close is the sun in your view?
We don't know, but if you go out and look, at the moon, for example, on a night where the clouds are, we have spotted clouds. If you look at the moon, I'm trying to find an image of the moon. Where is it? Where'd it go? Moon to Earth. Where is it?
A few more hours, it'll be out.
Yeah. Well, no. So I don't have to pull up the picture. When you see the moon and there's clouds at night, it'll light up the clouds that are right near it, and all of the other clouds will be in the darkness. Okay, you won't even be able to see them unless you have some city lights lighting them up. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, it'll only light up the clouds that are right near the moon. That's a local light. Put a whole bunch of cotton balls on your wall and get a dark room and get a flashlight and hold it across the room 238,000 miles away. It would light up all of them. But if you only want to light up a small section of them, you have to bring the light really, really close. Oh, here's a picture. So here's the moon's only lighting up these clouds. If it was far away, it would light up all the clouds. Okay? So whenever we're talking, just one last thing. Whenever we're talking about anything that's over our head or beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, we'll get into that. We don't know. We don't have access to that. So we can only speculate. We can only experiment. We can only, come up with some ideas. So we don't know. The only thing that we can honestly say about the lights that we see in the sky, sun, moon, stars, things that we think are satellites, is that they're lights. We don't know what they are. The only thing that we know what it is like an airplane. We're like, all right, that is a 747 because I could look on flight route and I've seen the 747 and you can verify it. But all the other lights, nobody really knows what they are.
Okay. So how, you don't know how close you think the moon or the sun is. Like nobody knows.
But you think the scientific method is flawed?
Yeah. Well, the whole, the way they came up with 93 million miles, tell me if you can find the problem with this. Right? They used to think it was 3 million miles, then it was 27 million miles, now it's 93 million miles. And just over the last eclipse we had last year, a whole bunch of amateur astronomers who are innocent in this deception, they're like, something's wrong, and they did some calculations. They're like, the sun is farther than they're telling us because the calculations don't work. Well, if you move the sun, you have to move every other planet and every other moon. The size of everything changes, so they can't do it. So the way they came up with the distance to the sun is one day Venus, which is about the same size as Earth, transited the sun, and somebody on the East Coast in the United States and someone on the West Coast were watching it, and they saw the transit happen at different times, and they did some really good calculus, and they said, okay, that's because the sun is 93 million miles away. Great. Here's the problem. How did they know Venus is the same size as Earth? Right? I claim Venus is the size of a small beach ball. Okay? With nobody knows. You don't know. Like if I held a tennis ball, like if I was in the middle of nothingness and I had a tennis ball hanging there 50 feet away from you, you'd go, yeah, that's a tennis ball. What if I had a tennis ball 100 times the size, 100 times farther away? You go, yeah, that's
the planets are forced perspective. Is that what you're saying?
That's
The
a
planet
regular tennis ball. You can't tell the distance of something unless you know the size or the distance. You can't tell the other unless you can go visibly measure it.
I see. This is all interesting to me, and my dumb ass does accept a lot of what science tells me. Science is the reason I'm on the internet right now.
Be careful when you say science, because the stuff that you're presented is scientism, right? They say, Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, says boats go over the curve, and they
disappear from the bottom up.
Well, that's absolutely true if we lived on a ball. But the thing is, if we lived on a ball, the horizon has to have a physical curve. Like you hold a basketball in front of you, that horizon is physical, and anything beyond that horizon, you cannot see it, okay? Because it's over the horizon. On a flat Earth, the sky comes together with the Earth, and where it meets, that's your horizon. But then you get a super zoom camera, and you zoom in and increase that angle, and now you can see until you take it farther, and it brings the horizon back together.
No, how powerful your camera, eventually the boat will disappear over the horizon.
Absolutely not. It doesn't. It disappears into nothingness. So
what if I had the world's most powerful camera at my disposal, and I could just watch? Are you saying that at absolutely no point would this boat disappear over an horizon because there isn't an horizon? All things being equal.
I am not saying that. Okay. Let me just find the image.
If there's no horizon back in naval battles, how did other ships use like the horizon to ambush one another? Like they used to sail beyond the horizon and out of view, and I will sit beyond the horizon.
Excellent question. So here's a picture of a boat right here, and you can't see the whole back deck because it looks like it's underneath the water. If I zoomed out on this boat, you wouldn't even be able to see the boat. So the little waves in the future, like can my finger block my whole face? My finger like this, can it block my whole face? No. But if my finger was a wave right next to my face, it can't block my whole face. But if my wave was halfway to you, look, it's blocking half of my face because I'm smaller, but the wave is bigger. And it's how perspective works on a flat Earth. So let me just show you an example of that. Let's see if this is the right one. So here's a boat way out on the horizon. And as I zoom out, its angular size gets smaller and smaller. It looks like it's disappearing from the bottom up. And now it's out of view and you can't even see it anymore. And a glober would say that's over the horizon. But I zoomed in on it and I brought it back. That means that the horizon that we're looking at here is optical. It's completely gone, right?
What if I was on the boat? What if I was off the boat coming off the coast of the United States and the entirety of the United States would disappear from my view?
Well, here's the problem. The atmosphere becomes opaque over distance, a very short distance. And the light that bounces off of things can't push through. The brighter the light, the farther it can push. But like if you were looking at a house and it was pitch black, you can't see the house. Put some light on it, put the sun up in the sky, the light that's bouncing off the house. Now watch this boat and watch this mountain. Okay. This is an infrared shot. And as we go out, everything disappears. It disappears. And that's not even that far. That's like, I don't know, 50, 60, maybe 100 miles, not even. And then you have miraging and stuff. This is an optical horizon. So
is that not the reflection of light?
Well, it's when you're looking at something in a distance and it's at your level, it is reflecting light, and it's reflecting the sky. So here's a good example. So this boat, there's no boat on the horizon here, and as we zoom in, we're increasing the angular size, and all of a sudden you can see there's a sailboat there. Okay. And so I'm going to zoom all the way into the sailboat. And now imagine I'm staying still and the sailboat's just going away. It will be the same thing. Now watch, it's going to disappear from the bottom up because these little waves are blocking it. Like my finger can block my face, right? Look, it's gone. It disappeared from the bottom up. So as far as seeing the United States, you can't see that far because light doesn't travel that far. So here's a perfect example of that. So when we see too far. So here's a spot in Illusia, France, where it's a famous viewing spot because out here is Mount Canigou, which is 175 miles away. Okay. According to Globe Math, from the altitude that this is being looked at, the top of that mountain should be a mile below the curvature, and you can't see it. Here's the horizon. It's gone. It's below the curvature. But twice a year, when the sun is doing its migratory path in between the tropics, which we'll get into in a minute, so the sun's light is bouncing off of Mount Canigou. It can't push through us because the atmosphere is too thick. It's like looking through 100 panes of glass. You can't do it. Looking through a long swimming pool, you can't see the far end of the pool. But maybe if there's a light on the other end of the pool, that light you can see. But if somebody drew a smiley face on the wall, you can't see it because.
Why is the sun going away?
So I'm going to explain how
disappear behind.
The sun is moving away. All right, I'm going to show you how it circles around. I probably should have gone there first, but look. On this certain couple days of the year, it lines up with Mount Canigou. Here's the top of Mount Canigou. It should be a mile below the curve, but we can see it. It's not a refraction. It's there, but you can only see it on these 2 days a year. Okay? When the sun backlights it, because the sun's light is strong enough to push through much farther.
So you're saying the air is opaque in itself.
Well, the
further away you get away from it, the more dense it becomes, and you can't see the light through it.
Right. Even on the clearest of day, the sunlight can't push through it. So here, I'm gonna jump to what I call my sun fade out. This one's gonna blow your mind. All right. So when you watch the sun go away, let me actually show you a different way on how the sun sets. The sun sets in a couple of different ways. So where is there it is. So here's a little experiment I did. So this is my my flat earth kitchen. All right. You with me?
Okay.
Okay.
And this line right here, can you see that okay?
Right.
This is the level line, and I'm moving the sun across it. Now, this opaque thing could be a city skyline, it could be mountains, it could just be a cloud deck, or it could just be the opaque atmosphere. I never went below it because I'm looking at it from a celestial point of view. Now I got a camera on the counter on the other end. Now if I showed you this first, look at this line. Is that level? And you'd say no, it's going down. And I'd say, is this sun going below this thing that looks like it's at my eye level? I'm way below it because it's in the distance. It all has merged together and it went below it. Now I'm zooming in. Look at this light. Look at this. This is a level line, and this sun is not going below that. But that's how we perceive it on Earth. Now I'm going to compare it to a real sunset. This is a real sunset. Now you would think the horizon's here, but it's going behind something else. That's called the atmospheric deck of opacity. That's just looking through the thickest part of the atmosphere, and it becomes opaque. And that's what the sun is going behind. Okay.
Would you not say that the horizon is actually the landmass and not the ocean? So we should be judging the horizon from the landmass behind the ocean.
Well, that's not landmass. That's just atmospheric density. That's just atmospheric density. You know, if you look right here, that's atmospheric density because the sunlight can't go through there. So let me just show you another one. This is a soldier in Afghanistan. Film this. Now, this is a situation where super clear, super dry, and the sun is kind of just sitting there. It's just super sped up, and it's just going away, and it's getting smaller and smaller, and it's not going down. And eventually, there are either it's atmosphere or maybe there's some mountains in the distance that are slightly above the camera level, and it'll eventually just disappear.
And Paul McCartney is involved in all this.
Well, Paul's singing, "The fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head sees the world spinning round." Okay, Paul McCartney is involved in this. Okay?
Can I ask kind of an out there question?
They're all out there questions, but go ahead.
So why is it that like hurricanes and toilets and all that stuff they spin opposite directions?
All right, just hold that question, okay? Because no. Normally the questions are flat. I call
it's a good question, all right?
Flat Earth 101. I'm going to call this Flat Earth Preschool. All right. But by the way, I had the same question. I'm going to make fun of you guys, but remember,
that's fine. Bring it on.
So we had we have a super clear day, no chemtrails in the sky, no humidity. It's below freezing. I put my drone up as high as I can get it, super high, and I'm filming the sun. And in 10 minutes time, it went down. In 5 minutes time, it went from up here, it went down, and then it stopped and it sat here for 10 minutes. Now my friends at the beach saw the sun set from the bottom up, but I can still see it on my drone. And then watch what happens. It never goes below this horizon. It just fades into the soup of the atmosphere. It's like when you're looking through a pane of glass, then you put 2 panes of glass, no problem. 3 panes of glass, no problem. 10 panes of glass. Now, 100 panes of glass, you can't see a light on the other side. All right.
We've seen this with the laser experiment, and the flat earthers failed at the end.
No. That please hold that one off.
It was their own experiment.
You're watching
just like the 15 degrees of drift.
So you have been researching, and Google has been feeding you the propaganda that they want you to see.
So watch on Netflix.
I think
you watch on Netflix. Behind the Curve. That's my co-host Jaron, who was doing that that experiment. And
that failed.
Oh, can we get him on too? Something?
No. It did not fail. Well, let me tell you what happened. So I don't even have a graphic for this. So pay attention. The experiment was to get 3 panes of plywood and have a hole at the same height. And the way they determined that the holes were at the same height is there was a canal next to them, and they did it, whatever X number of feet off the water canal. That way, they had 3 holes lined up. And the idea was if they could send a laser through the first hole, through the second hole, and through the third hole, that would prove that the Earth is flat, because on a ball, that middle one would be higher than the 2 end ones. Do you understand the experiment?
I do, yeah.
So we get there and doing these experiments.
You there?
I was not there. I was at I basically was there. I was live streaming it, the whole thing. So
awesome.
So we get there, we get it set up, and a film company wanted to film us, and we're like, hey, we'll let you do it, but you'll give us the film, because filming this, doing it, the logistics, like you got to make a change. You got to drive 3 miles to the other guy to make a change, right? So we set this whole thing up, and then lasers, you don't realize it, but the laser beam spreads out. So we did it. The first time we tried it, the laser beam was 10 feet around. Well, that's not going to work. So we got what's called the condenser. We spent, I think it's like $20,000 for this laser and the condenser.
Money well spent.
Well, I think we lent the laser, and we spent a couple $1,000s on the condenser. Well, the condenser melted before it melted. It like now the laser broke. So we don't even have the laser to do experiments. So we're like, well, let's try this. We shined a bright light through it, and the guy at the other end goes, I can't see it. Then he's like, all right, now raise it up. Now we rose it up. How tall is my arm? 2 feet? 3 feet? Right?
Let's just say 2
3
feet.
Okay, whatever. and all of a sudden he goes, I can see it. If the Earth was a globe, he'd have to raise it like 20 feet. Okay? But he rose it, and the guys go, I can see it. And then he brought it down. And then that's where they cut the movie. They cut it right there. 2 seconds later, he brings it down, and he goes, oh, I see it again. Right? That would actually prove that the Earth is flat. However, everybody there, Globers, Flat Earthers, we all walked away saying, too many things. We're not sure what was going on. There was branches in the way the first time. And we all walked away saying it didn't prove anything.
Well,
if anything, it did.
You moved the goalposts for yourselves.
No. If anything, the fact that we saw it when it was down, the fact that we even saw it above the first one proves, goes against the globe math. The globe math says a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water should see a physical horizon 3 miles away, because in 3 miles there's a 6 foot drop. According to globe math, we can see way farther. Submarines on the bottom of the ocean can send sonar out and see another submarine over 100 miles away. There should be a mountain over 6,000 feet between them. A ship on the surface of the ocean can tag another ship with a pinpoint laser beam at 100 miles away. There should be a wall of water over a mile high between them, and there's not.
Okay.
No
what about the rest of the universe? Is Mars, Jupiter, are they balls?
Yeah. So you're getting into.
I just want to know how. I just want to know what we're talking about here. Is it that this plane is flat and everything else in the celestial body is round?
Well, so you think everything's round, but This is Mars through a super zoom camera. This doesn't look like what NASA shows us. NASA shows us cartoons. Okay.
It also looks like a time lapse. Is there a time lapse?
No. I did slow it down at one point, but this is real time. This is real time right here. So the question is, what shape is the moon? Is the moon a sphere? I'm going to show. I actually think the moon is spherical, but that's besides the point.
That's controversial.
But we
Do you
don't
think
know.
the moon influences the tides?
Okay. Is this not the way you think? Is this one a sphere? Before she picks it up, is that a sphere?
Probably not.
Oh, Higher, lower.
Is that a sphere?
No, it is a sphere. It's half a sphere. It's an ampisphere.
It's flat. Okay. Is this one a sphere?
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess they're all flat.
Is this one a sphere? No, look, that's concave. Okay. So what I'm saying is, unless you can touch it and measure it, you don't know. Like this, for example. Oops, that's not what I want to show you. If you look at this, are these two tables the same width and length in dimension?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, well, because you know that I'm going to trick you. But look at it. You now, even though I showed you that they're exactly the same width and dimension, you still can't sort it out in your mind unless you can touch it and measure it. You don't know what shape it is. You don't know what size it is. You don't know how far it is. Okay, is that an 8.5 11 piece of paper? Well, probably, because you got a hand. You know what size the hand is. You can reference it. But if I showed you that without the hand in there, then it could be that's meters wide.
Yeah, don't trust your eyes.
All right, I've got one for you then.
Yeah, go for it, Roman.
We're on a disc, right? And there's an outer edge of a disc. I mean, it's just a flat plane that goes forever.
I don't know.
Okay, so there's a certain point that we do know. Is there a center to this though?
Yes.
North Pole.
Okay, so now how do you explain time zones to me as they go around? Around, like I'm trying to figure it out, because like the time zone stretches from north to south as far as I know.
No, it covers from east to west.
No, it's east to west.
Yeah. So here we go. This is called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, and the sun. This will help you on a whole bunch of things. So if you're watching, the sun is going around. The sun is the hour hand. How long does it take to go around?
But what I'm saying is, like, there's one.
I'm going to show you time zones.
1 hour all the way down. And if it's further away as we go out from the center, shouldn't the time change?
No.
Shouldn't it be right there from the middle? Should the sun always be observable?
No. And I'll show you. Well, I showed you how the sun goes away, how it fades out, how it goes behind the atmospheric deck of opacity. We see it, what I call, in our own personal atmospheric dome. I'll show you videos. I'll point you to videos that you guys can learn. Again, knowing is a lot harder than believing. Knowing takes time and effort. So let me turn on the time zones here. So wherever the sun is, that's where it's noon. Like right now, I'm here in America. It's 9:27 in the morning, and the sun is coming towards me. So it's rising, and then it'll be noon when it's here, and it goes away. Time zones. Everything along this straight line is in the same time zone.
So when it's closer at the center and further away at the bottom, is there a time lapse? I mean, is an hour longer?
I want to know
the further away you get from the center.
No, because it's going faster out there.
Okay.
When the if the sun is that small, wouldn't the gravitational pull of the Earth have an effect on it? Because we have the gravitational mass of the sun and the gravitational pull of the moon. And what's keeping these two things in the sky?
Well, so again, you're jumping forward. Let's answer the time zones. Don't forget that question. Yes. But you're assuming gravity. Which gravity? Why I'm talking about the other things? Just contemplate whether it's Newtonian gravity or Einsteinian gravity. One of them is mass attracting mass, and the other one is bending of space-time fabric. Okay, think about that for a while, because they're both bullshit. All right.
Okay.
So the sun goes around once every 24 hours. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. It's noon in right now. It's noon where I am in New York, and it's 9:00 in the morning in California. So the sun's coming around. The outer yellow line here is the Tropic of Capricorn, and the inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. Can you guys see those?
Okay.
Yes.
So the outer yellow line on December 21st is where the sun is, and that's our northern winter, but it's Australia's summer because the sun is directly over them. It's hot in Australia because the sun is directly over them. But 6 months later, in June, the sun migrates into the Tropic of Cancer, and that's when us in the north have our summer with our longer days, because the sun is closer to us. It's higher in the sky. It's like the example I use is, if you're standing under a street light, that's your summer sun. And then look down the road at the next street light, or 5 street lights away. That one is your winter sun, because it's farther away. It's lower in the sky, right? And so Miami here in New York, in the United States, is hot because the sun goes right over it. Mexico is hot because the sun goes right over it. It's cold in Santiago. It's cold in South Africa because the sun is far away. So the sun goes around like that. the sun will lap the moon once every 28 days. So the moon changes its phases and its position. That keeps track of the weeks and the months.
Yeah.
And the sun keeps track of the days and the hours.
But all you're accounting for is that the celestial bodies are moving and not the Earth.
That's 100% correct. So
what's moving celestial bodies? What force moves them but doesn't move the Earth?
Great question. Who the hell knows? It's a god.
Science.
Well, what science do you have that says that? So let me.
Well, I'm not a scientist. I mean, you're far more read than I am.
Let me tell you. This is what you believe. Once upon a time, there was nothing, and then it exploded. This is the heliocentric model, I'm telling you, and it became everything. Then all of the rocks, the rocky bits, the matter, turned into round spinning balls. Then all of the gases turned into bigger, giant burning balls, and they left a vacuum in between. So now you have, excuse me, now you have a vacuum with burning space balls in it. That's just scientifically impossible if you actually think about it. So we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's the slowest motion of all. We're orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. So we're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. And
I like the mug, by the way.
Yeah,
oh,
thank you, Dylan.
Yes, I do. I like it. It's cool.
I get a lot of shit for that one because woke means a whole different thing now.
We know what it really means, though.
And we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. Let me just give you a reference of what that means. This is the hypersonic. Whoop, why isn't that playing? Is that not playing?
NASA found out.
No.
NASA here, man.
That sucks.
Dylan, has your mainframe been breached?
It froze. Now I froze.
No, it's
Am I
because
frozen?
I can hear him fine. Yeah, I can hear you fine, but you're frozen.
Yep.
That's the worst. Let me. You know what? I don't think I'll disappear, but my picture will disappear for a second. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
My OBS froze.
Smooth.
Quit. Let me see. I'll be right.
You're good.
How come it didn't go?
We're all here.
We're almost there.
Yeah. So
There
we go. Wow. There we go. Click.
I think there's a curve in your computer somewhere throwing.
Yeah, maybe. It's trying to calculate the curve, and that just isn't working.
Yeah,
All
I know it's not on my end because everybody else is moving just fine.
It's my end. It's my end. Coming back. It's rebooting.
Oh, you're good.
It's probably because there's no satellites.
That's right. There are no satellites. Very good. Look at you.
But and planes don't use GPS systems. And
All right. So I am back. All right. You got me
There
now?
you go. You're
There we
good.
go.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
We're
So
back.
this is
What
the
was that?
hypersonic track sled. It goes by at Mach 8.6. Try to watch it. Ready? Don't blink. And it's gone. Right?
Wow.
We're orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. Just try to fathom that for a second. And we're chasing the sun at 500,000 times. No, 100 times faster than that. 100 times faster than that. But when we go out into nature, what do we see? We see evidence that we're not moving. This is a lake. You tap your foot on the shore, it's going to send a ripple across that lake. You get a dinner plate, fill it with water, and try to walk across the room. Try to drive in a car on a straight road at the same speed. It's not going to work. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We're a 26,000 mile planet. We're not like, it's not like a tennis ball that's spinning like that and all the water falls off of it. We're actually moving only 15 degrees an hour. So it's not, it's all just going to get thrown into space.
You've been
listening
to the propaganda very well.
You were saying about the sun and the moon, but there is thousands of hours, millions of man hours of peer review studied, and they're all working in harmony, and that can be explained. You can't tell me while the sun stays in the sky.
Well, no.
Why does the sun stay in the sky?
So show me the peer reviewed study that shows you the that the sun, how the sun stays in the sky. So you guys aren't even aware of the thing called the 3-body problem. So here's the 3-body problem. Our sun is holding on to all of the planets. All of the planets are holding on to all of their own moons, and they're all orbiting around in a perfect clock-like system. And they repeat, and we know where they're going to be. We know everything about them.
Proof of the simulation.
But well, very close. We might be in some kind of simulation. So the world's best supercomputer, they can't model 3 bodies. They put a sun in there, they put a planet in there, they orbit it around, they give all the details, and the computer can figure out where it's going to be forever. Then you add one more body, a moon or another planet, and the entire model goes into chaos mode, and no computer can figure out what it's going to do next. But somehow we have 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and everyone knows where they are. I want you guys to go out tonight, mark where the stars are in the sky, draw a little sky chart from a certain position, wherever you're sitting, and then put an alarm in your calendar for next year, same night, same time. Go out, and every single star will be in the exact same position. We're corkscrewing through space, like I showed you, traveling 4.5 billion miles. All of the other stars are moving in all of their own directions, but somehow every star resets.
What about when the tilt of the Earth during the equinox and stuff? Like, do you know, back in ancient Egyptian times, they said that the Sphinx, the reason they think that originally it might have had a lion's head is because at that time that Egypt was facing the constellation of Leo, and throughout time now it's facing a different constellation because of the tilt of the Earth. So, like, the stars do not always stay the same. They move very, very gradually over a very great long distance time, like 32,000 years or 12,000, something ridiculous. So, like, why is that? Like, I just think it's like the reason we only see the same stars is because nobody lives long enough to see the change. All we can do is document it through history, which they've done greatly, and vastly.
Cool story, bro. Let me.
Fucking love this guy.
And if I was on Zoom, I'd be able to put on my ghetto glasses and come on, and it has a better impact. But thanks, guys. I'll be here all day. So we're told that the 40,000 years ago there was a different star, and in 40,000 years from now there'll be another North Star called Thuban or whatever, right? But meanwhile, we just happen to live in the time where we have a North Star, and it hasn't moved in all of the years. These are the Georgia Guidestones here in America. It's like, do you know about them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's a hole in one of them, a thin hole, and you look through it, and what do you see? You see the North Star, right? Meanwhile, we're corkscrewing, spinning, and twirling and whirling in all these different directions. And when you look through that, do a time lapse, it's the North Star is there. It's been up for over 40 years. Well, in 40 years, according to this Thuban theory, we should have moved over a degree or something. Even if it was a half a degree, it would be gone, but it's still there. It hasn't moved. We haven't moved. You can't spin, whirl, twirl, and corkscrew through space and have the same thing. The stars in the sky are fixed above, except the wandering stars, which we now magically call planets. Okay? Those things that we see are here within the Earth system. Here's a memorial, another one. On the morning of 11/11 at 11:11 a.m., every year, the sun lines up with all of these holes and lights up this little memorial for war veterans. 11/11 at 11:11. Every year, we're corkscrewing through space. All of the planets are lining up and pulling on each other. And, tide, like if the moon affects our tide, well, how come Jupiter doesn't affect our tide? How come last month when all the planets were in alignment
to affect our tide?
Yeah, but the sun can hold on to Jupiter. Jupiter could hold on to its moon.
Ask you
because of its gravitational density.
But if you look at Jupiter, right? All right, and because of its mass, because of Jupiter's mass, right, it affects everything around it. Isn't that correct? That's why it has so many moons.
Dude,
but because they're closer to it, right? It's kind of like, where Jupiter is like millions and millions of miles away from the Earth. No matter how great its mass is, due to its distance, it cannot affect us even with its large gravitational pull. But yeah, it affects everything that's around it in the same way the Earth affects the moon. Because the moon is close to the Earth, it's caught in our gravitational pull, and that's why it stays there. And Jupiter doesn't affect us because of distance. Because gravitational pull only works over a certain period of distance,
So you're regurgitating
on the mass of the object.
You're regurgitating a bunch of nonsense. Science doesn't
well, you're regurgitating your nonsense.
Well, I'm showing this is a model that NASA made. Why did they have this model and they use it? I mean, this is the same thing that they show us, and they take out the background and they tell us that's Jupiter. I mean, if you look at like what planet is this?
Jupiter.
It's Jupiter. However, it's not Jupiter. It's a meadow with ducks in it. Okay, you're programmed to
research ducks.
Yeah, you're programmed to see what you want to see.
Keeps tricking me.
Right. NASA and Disney are the same freaking company. This is what NASA shows us. This is what our telescopes show us.
Why? Like, why would they want to fake it? Like,
why the lie? Why the lie? Good. We're gonna get there. You have too many questions. Let's save why the lie for a little bit later after I show you the freaking lie. you guys are deeply indoctrinated here, or some of you are.
Incredible.
I'm interested. I love it. It's great.
Right.
I want to ask about the ice wall.
Okay, just write these things down. These are all good questions. I want to answer all of them. So this is the famous picture of Saturn that's in every textbook. But when we take the picture off of NASA's website, they've changed it since then, and we crank it up in Photoshop, we can clearly see that it's put together crappily with where they didn't even take out the proper backgrounds. Right? That shows that the only real good picture of Saturn that we have is bullshit. And then NASA's always telling us, oh, we discovered these new planets. Are these new NASA planets? What do you think?
I'm not saying anything.
You're not gonna say anything. These are the bottoms. These are the bottoms of frying pans. But NASA, the shit that they show us is even worse than that. It's
just real quick though, like because when people take family photos, they edit them.
Of course.
Yeah.
So why?
And a lot of these images
sometimes you have to edit. I mean, it's that far away. Why not? Maybe they take a bunch of them and kind of edit them to make it
That's
look.
what it is.
So
it's the processing power that's needed to take an image of so far away.
It
You
takes
have
light,
to join thousands of small
together
images
over time.
Listen, don't be a NASA apologist. It's not fun. Okay. In 2014, this was the famous picture that we got of Jupiter, which I believe is that model that guy was painting. But in 2016,
I think it's ducks in the meadow, man. You can't fool me again.
Yeah,
this is an official picture from NASA. And again, research this stuff yourself. And then in 2016, the NASA reported, hey, we know that Jupiter has a magnetic core just like the Earth because we got a picture of the northern lights there. And then look at this. This is like the crappiest thing ever. But forget that. Look at the clouds. Look at this. These are clouds. They're the same on both. This one's just a little darker. All right. So
I think I see somebody's signature right there too.
Yeah, but it's the same picture. They're so lazy, or they're sticking it in our faces, right? This is what Jupiter's supposed to be. This is a time lapse, supposedly from NASA, from an approaching satellite, right? All of these things are spinning and going. It wouldn't be the same for a couple of hours, but over 2 years later, every cloud's the same. That shows you NASA's lying, okay? And if you can't deal with that, then that's
why do you think they're lying? Because the clouds are staying the same. Isn't the red dot or the red eye or whatever it's called in Jupiter?
Storm. It's been there raging for thousands of years.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe Jupiter, the weather systems, although they are raging and rapid moving, they don't alter much.
This is a time lapse over a couple of days. This is from NASA over a couple of days. Are these clouds changing? Yes, they're changing. Okay. Yeah. So saying that if you're making an excuse for those two
but
pictures,
that's a still picture against the motion.
You're gonna have to tap out of this conversation.
But that's a 3D image. That's a 3D image compared to a still image.
Listen, here's let me tell you what's going on right now. Let me tell you what's the name that's subjecting here the most. What's your name?
Me, Vinny.
Vinny. Here's what's happening. When you were a child, and this is the same for all of us, they indoctrinated us before we went to school about the astronauts on Sesame Street and all this kids. It's all programming. Then you go to school. There's a globe in the class, and they teach you about the orbits of the planets and everything. And right now, somebody in your entire world has been built around living on a ball. Well, right now, I'm taking your ball away, and you're like, no, don't take my ball away, please. Don't take my ball away.
It's anecdotal. Everything you've presented is anecdotal. Where's your experiments? Why happen to sailed out to the ice wall?
I just want to ask.
I'm going to show you the ice. We'll go ice wall next. This is Google NASA photo of Jupiter. All of a sudden, they got a full photo of Jupiter, and there's a desert or whatever that looks a little bit like the dog Jupiter. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just
I'm going to say that's.
Are we on
that's
Pluto?
The anecdotal evidence I've been talking about.
Yeah, it's like the way Italy looks like a boot.
Yeah,
it's what your mind makes. It's like what clouds look like.
I'm
all
with
clouds
you,
are
but
images,
again, how did they get a full picture of Jupiter and they don't have any pictures of Earth? Okay,
I have an ISS app on my phone that shows the Earth from the ISS.
No, you don't. But you have an ISS app that shows you garbage. This is the famous picture called the Blue Marble. But NASA even admits it's not real. The NASA visual artist named Richard, what's his name? Richard Simmons or Richard? No, I'm thinking Richard Simmons. Whatever. Robert Simmons. he said he made it in Photoshop, and he's not even good at Photoshop. He uses the same clouds again and again. Okay. Right. So it's clearly made in Photoshop. And when you actually look at pictures that come from NASA, which Earth do you like? I'm a Blue Marble fan. These are all pictures from NASA, and NASA never says photograph. They always say image or picture because they're trying not to lie.
Because it's a combination image of many photographs, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's what they say.
A
These
composite
are
image.
1978 picture and 2017 picture. What's the problem here? Oh, this is in 2017 they came out. They said
Robert Simon, somebody
Robert Simon. Because of all of the pollution, look how dull the Earth is getting. This was on the news. Like, this was from 1978, and pollution. This is bad. Problem is, look at the clouds. They're the same clouds. They use the same clouds. They're that friggin' lazy. Okay. Right. So again, another proof that they're lying. And it's like, how much are you going to buy into their absolute?
I mean, governments in general, any large corporation lies. I mean, people lie.
They're not identical.
NASA has never been to space. Nobody has ever been to space.
NASA could give me a paper on why the sun is in the sky.
The rockets and all that stuff are just never actually went to space.
I can show you. We'll get there. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna go to the ice wall first, then we'll go to rockets.
Okay. Yes, ice wall.
Ice wall.
But just doing some measurements, something that we can measure driving across Baja in Mexico and verify scientifically that that's 934 miles. NASA tells us the radius of the Earth, the diameter,
radius,
not the diameter.
Radius be spherical.
Not the radius, the diameter of the Earth.
Yeah, the diameter.
A straight line is 7,917 miles. Well, 934, I should be able to fit 8.5 of them between these two lines, and I can't even fit them on the page. Okay. That's proving that this is a painting. And look, this is the United States. Where's the rest of the world? On the other side of that ball? I mean,
what do you think's underneath the world if it's not the other side of the world? So, how does magnets work if there's no core of iron that's at the bottom of the Earth?
Well, how do compasses work?
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that.
Please do.
What is going on here? I'm hearing music somewhere.
It's NASA, man. They're gonna...
Yeah.
A laser just takes out.
Ice wall. All right, hold on. Ice wall. Thank you. Okay. Ice wall. So people say, where we'll take a picture of the ice wall. Where's the ice wall? And everyone thinks Game of Thrones, a wall at the edge of the disc Earth. That's not the case. The Earth is. The world that we live in is a giant pond. Think of all of the oceans as a pond, all of the continents as islands, and a large body of water at rest. Hold on. Hey Siri, stop. All right, there we go. Siri's such a bitch. Okay. So this is the shoreline of Antarctica. Okay. So we live in what's called the Antarctic Basin, right? We live here. The shoreline contains our water. Like if you had a pond of water, what stops the water from running away? It's the land that surrounds the water. It's higher than the surface of the water. That's the container. They tell us Antarctica is the highest land on Earth, right? They tell us Antarctica is the highest land on Earth, but they also tell us it's at the bottom of the ball. What's holding all the water onto the ball? And you're going to say gravity. Right, but meanwhile, I can still.
We're just crazy like that.
It can hold trillions and trillions of gallons of pounds of water, and but I can still hold my arms up and jump, and a butterfly can fly. None of that makes any sense. So we live in the Antarctic Basin.
So could there be more basins then?
Well, very good question.
Like outside of that, could there be like 3 or 4 different ones that all have their own rotating sun? Then,
you know what? I'm a big fan of that. I call that puddle theory. But another one is ring theory, where we live here in this inner space. This is Antarctica. And then out here in the outer space, there's extra territory, right? If somebody, let's see if you guys can put this together. If somebody lived on the extra territory and they came to visit us in the inner space, what would we consider them?
Extraterrestrials.
From where?
From outer space.
Thank you. Extraterrestrial from outer space, right?
Yeah.
And so, what's more
on,
likely?
Daddy.
What's more likely that if there, I believe, again, anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation, but there's some books, some old books from the 1800s talking about people that have explored and have gone out to the outer lands. One of them is called the Iron Republic. I highly recommend it.
I love fiction too.
Yeah, well, but whether it's fiction or not, they were in the 1800s. They were talking about more land beyond Antarctica. Why were they doing that? You know, that
what about the people that circumnavigated the globes back hundreds of years ago? Like, if you say now that NASA prevents people from passing by the ice wall, like hundreds of years before NASA were ever invented,
who was doing it? Yeah.
Who was doing it? Who stopped all these global, travelers, explorers?
Nobody.
Yeah. So how come they said they circumnavigated the globe?
They did. There are people, I believe there are people that went out there. If you look at, so we're all over the place here.
Man, you came prepared.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
So then, what about like inner Earth then, dude? Could inner Earth be considered?
Hold on.
How
You want to know about circumnavigation?
Are we
alien?
Listen. Follow me. Here's a magnet at the center of the flat Earth. Now I'm pushing my boat here west. Well, look at the needle. Has to point. The north always has to point to the center. So west is a circle. Okay. Now I'm going to go east. If I go, I have to keep turning. I have to keep correcting to the north to maintain my compass heading of 90 degrees. Right. So east and west are circles around the Earth. Now, if I try to dead reckon west, as soon as I start moving, if I don't correct, I'm now heading south. Every straight line is south. And here's the problem.
Because the Earth's moving, though.
On a globe, you have no proof of that. You're just saying that because you were told that as a child.
No, but that's the reason it changes. That's why you have to course correct, because the Earth is constantly moving.
Incorrect. You're 1,000% incorrect. If I go south, I don't have to correct. I don't have to correct. I'm going south. Now, if I went south on Santiago, I should pop up over here, but no one's ever done that. You can't do it on a flat Earth, and no one's ever done it. Interesting. Now I'm heading north, and as soon as I pass the North Pole, compass does a 180. I'm heading south. Every straight line points south. So here is a couple years ago, this guy was going to get the world record for southern polar circumnavigation. Great, we're going to track him, right? So we tracked him. He went to Alaska, California, Hawaii, out to these islands up here, Santiago, and then he went to the South Pole, supposedly, and said the weather was so bad that they couldn't continue across. So he turned around, came up through Brazil, and went around, and we're like, well, he didn't do it.
Sounds like a great vacation, dude.
I see that.
But hang on. Yeah. The Guinness Book gave him the world record for circumnavigation, when in fact all he did was this. This is the flat Earth. He went here, turned around, came back. He just went. This was his path, and that is not circumnavigation.
I accepted that would work on a flat Earth model. The way he navigated it.
It does work on a flat Earth model. Look, here it is.
Absolutely.
He went here. He turned around. And he came back. He went here.
Would you agree, though?
Otherwise.
But would you agree that the flat Earth representation that you have is based on a 2D dimensional image, or like a 2D image of a 3D representation? Like he said, it's from the NATO badge or something from back in the day. And like the only reason that mirrors, like that's how you would represent a 3D model in a 2-dimensional form. You would put it like a sphere, you would make it a disc, and you would push everything outwards. So like, so I'm saying is the map that you use as a flat Earth map is just a 2D image that's a representation of a 3D spherical object.
Yeah. So, real quick, and then I'll answer that. That's not true. That's what they tell us, when in fact they actually wrap this map around a sphere to make it. Google Earth used to be flat until I don't know how many years ago it was. They wrapped it around a spherical geometry, and it used to work flat. Okay. We can see too far. We can see things far beyond where they should be hundreds, if not thousands of feet, and sometimes miles below the curvature. We can see them. That's flat. This is Captain Cook. He tried to go around Antarctica. It's only 13,000 miles on the globe, but he went over 60,000 miles. It took him 3.5 years. Okay.
Because he didn't know the route, though.
No, he followed Antarctica. If you want to prove if you want to prove,
he didn't know the route. He had to map the route. That's how shipping lanes and stuff were invented. Yeah. You send out people, and you'd send out, and they go, okay, this is one way, and go, oh, the next crowd go, you go, okay, we might have a better way, and
he
eventually
followed Antarctica around. He tried to go around Antarctica. Here's the thing: you can make all the excuses you want, but if you want to prove the Earth is flat, all you got to do is get 2 airplanes, right? Load them up. We can get on there. Neil deGrasse Tyson can get on there. Science professors, whatever. One of them flies around 1,000 feet in the air, just follows the coastline. Boom, follows the coastline. We're all watching the coastline, so nothing, no trickery. The other plane goes this way. 6,500 miles later, both planes will meet over here. Well, you can't. It'll never be done because it can't be done because it's 60,000 miles or more.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you ever hear of a guy called Felix Baumgartlinger? He was the guy who with Red Bull that did the dive from in the outer part of the Earth's atmosphere. Well, they showed live video footage from the pod he steps out on to make the dive. Yeah, you can clearly see
the
curvature of the Earth,
thing.
Yeah. And that was live footage, and he dived down. So, what would be like the reason for the curvature clearly visible in live footage at that time in his dive?
Because we could throw that up just as easily as the diagram.
Yeah, so if I could find my image of Felix.
You have an image of him too?
I have the
I thought that'd be an image.
Well, I can use this, but this is the image, and I just laid it over the globe. All of this land, right? All of this land is all New Mexico. New Mexico is now bigger than any continent on the world, right? And you say, all of the lenses showed a fisheye, but when he opened up the door, the camera behind his head was not fisheye, and there was the horizon right at eye level at 127,000 feet.
Do you have that image?
I have it, but I just don't know what folder it's in. I got to find it.
No, you did your homework. I can't take that from you.
So wait a minute. Hang on a second. So Neil deGrasse Tyson went on a show after that we exposed this and says
Neil deGrasse Lyson, more like
right. Neil deGrasse Lyson, the failed actor. He said
pro wrestler too.
Felix
Don't forget
did
that.
not see the curvature. They moved the globe post again. Okay, Felix cannot see the curvature. He said that he's too small. He's too close. You can't see the curvature from 127,000 feet. Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson said that. Right? It's over. When we go up in a balloon, right? Wait, when we look at like NASA pictures, here's what NASA shows us, and here's from a balloon, same heights. Okay.
Can I ask you another question though about Baumgartlinger? You said he was too close, but is the image not taken from somewhere that's higher up than him? So from the perspective,
the image was taken from his capsule.
Yeah, but it's higher than him. Look where he is.
Well, like 2 feet higher than him? What are you talking about, dude?
What do you mean?
Dude, don't listen. Don't start throwing dumb shit around.
I'm sorry.
Don't start throwing dumb shit around. So I gotta, where did I put that? Is it Earth? I wish there was a search feature on here. So again, the whole thing, Felix Baumgartner Garden. But here's the thing you didn't know, and there's videos on it. They did 2 practice ones before they did the third one, which they put on TV, and those all used regular lenses. Then they switched to GoPros, and that's what they showed. And we have footage from the other ones. All of them show flat level horizons.
Okay. What when have you ever tried to move away from the anecdotal and just like get a weather balloon, or can't you rent a plane, whatever the supersonic planes that they use to go up into the stratosphere? Can't you literally get on one of those for $20,000 and just go up and look yourself? Just do it.
Well, you can't get up high enough, but we can get up to 127,000 feet. And we did. We sent balloons up, and the Earth is stationary. The Earth, Felix was up.
Well, the Earth is going to appear stationary.
Hold on.
Everything's like,
Felix is up there. The Earth is rotating at 1,000 miles an hour below him. He's up there for 3.5 hours. He should have landed out in the ocean west of where he took off, but he went up there for 3.5 hours and he landed east. So he somehow went up there and outran the spin of the Earth and landed in front of where he took off from.
It's not like the spin of the Earth doesn't apply to it still. And I think you can see the curvature at 98,500 feet. Do you think you can get that high?
You can't see. This is 127,000 feet. You can't.
What height was Felix? What was his name? Baumgartner. Is it?
Yeah, Felix.
GoPro weather balloon to space. It's nearly 3 hours. It goes from the ground right up to 98.
We have hundreds of them. Hundreds.
What about weather balloons?
we've sent them up. And we've done it many, many times. So you're saying, why can't we just do it? We can do it. And every time we go up, level, local, small, sun.
Go up higher.
You can't get any higher.
The atmosphere gets too thin. Yeah, right. The atmosphere gets too thin. There's no debate in that.
Right. What about rockets?
So I got about, we got about a half hour left, 20 to 30 minutes, whatever time you got left. But can we get, let's move on to like galaxy or gravity. Can we talk about gravity?
We could.
Or do you want to continue talking about it? I mean, I don't care either way.
Let's talk about whatever you want. Gravity.
I'm going to throw myself down the stairs. It's cool because it won't hurt. Just 1 second.
No, just keep going. He's grand.
So gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity. So what?
Hey, thanks for putting up with us, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the guy that's objecting, where are you from? Ireland?
Me, Ireland, yeah.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Something's happened in Ireland. Every time I talk to Ireland guys, no offense to you whatsoever, but they're the dumbest fucking idiots I ever get to talk to. Like, I should send you. I should send you.
Oh my god!
I have some clips of these Irish guys. It'll blow you away how dumb they are. You will be embarrassed to be Irish.
Oh, I want to see all this shit now.
Okay. Unbelievable.
I fucking love you, man. You're amazing.
Unbelievable. So,
that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
So, yeah, like the Irish guys, man. You're a friggin' nightmare. All right. So, gravity. They used to say it's mass attracting mass. Now it's bending of the space fabric. Like, how come? They show us the ball on a piece of fabric and then they roll balls around it. Why isn't it bending sideways? Why is it bending up?
Would you agree though, with all space, with all science,
I don't agree.
Theories change throughout time. With all science though, theories change throughout time because of technological advancements, or the better we understand certain things like the universe, the cosmos, our positioning in it, our relationship to it, or whatever, how we're interacting with it. Like, this has all changed throughout time. You say it's because they're not sticking to their story. Because I come up with a story and I stick to it, doesn't make me more factual than if I have opened myself to new theories over time.
I get it. I used to be a baller too, and I opened myself.
You're still a baller, man. You're still.
But here's the thing. In the 1920s, even later in the 30s, 40s, even into the 50s, everybody knew the Earth was flat. They're lying about our history. I interviewed this woman, Ruth, in February of 2020, about the World's Fairs, which is a whole nother rabbit hole. And
Ruth.
And she had such a great memory. I asked her what they taught her about Earth, never mentioning flat Earth. And she goes, and in elementary school, she said they taught me that the Earth is flat. Okay. And I found out, then we found newspaper articles about where their teachers were being persecuted for teaching heliocentrism, the globe model, in schools.
Okay.
All right.
I just got a quick question for you real quick. Yeah. Okay. As a flat earther, then would you use the same picture over and over and again to like, represent exactly the same way that a glober would then? Like, because I mean, your argument is saying that the clouds are in the same spot and everything, dude. I understand it and I completely see it, but I'm just saying is, wouldn't you use the same image of a flat Earth model it's just over and over again? Yeah. It's just a way of teaching or learning, which you say is indoctrinating, which I can completely understand. But I'm just saying, like, you don't use a different image for every flat Earth image that you use. Are you picking up what I'm meaning?
I'm not getting what you're saying.
No,
he's saying that, like,
would you not be guilty of the very thing that you've accused?
It's like when we use an image of anything. Yeah.
No,
it's like
I'm using common sense and not nonsense.
This is an example of Earth. This is an example of flat Earth in your mind, So you show an image and you go, this is an example of flat Earth. This is the stereotypical image of flat Earth. In the same way NASA would say, this is a stereotypical image of Earth. They just use the same image as an example over and over because it just typifies Earth. In the same way you'd use an image of flat Earth to typify flat Earth.
No, that's not it. NASA, we catch NASA lying, and then when we go to verify it, this is what stars look like. This is what stars look like when we zoom in on them ourselves with powerful telescopes.
In the meadow. You're not going to trick me, man.
No, this is actually what stars look like. This is the star Capella. Okay, and when you can see this with your naked eye, get a super zoom camera, a telescope, and you look. This is not And the idea, and here's the thing, people short circuit when you start thinking about distance. They tell us that the closest star is 25 trillion miles away, 4.5 light years, 25 trillion miles. Now, let me see if I lose you guys here. How far is a trillion miles? 25 trillion miles. If you were traveling 1 mile per second, after 1 trillion seconds, you've gone 1 trillion miles, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're 1/25th of the way to the first star. Okay.
Yes.
If you're traveling a mile per second, no one ever travels.
No one
that
expects
fast.
you to run it though.
So you're in a rocket going a mile per second. That's 3,600 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. And after 1 trillion seconds, you're 1/25th of the way to the closest star, and the other stars are magnitudes farther.
Yeah.
How long is 1 trillion seconds, guys? How long is 1 trillion seconds?
I know this. It's about 330 years.
Yeah, close. 31,000 years. Okay. It's 31,000 years. Okay. And then you have to believe that you got to travel 25 times farther than you just did. It took you 31,000 years and you're at the first star. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
space is big is something I subscribe to.
Space is big is made in a Hollywood basement. All right.
No, doesn't light travel quicker though? Like you're saying,
Light would travel around the world 2.5 times.
No,
Okay,
it's
so
not that,
let's
but
talk
with
about
stars.
the speed of light. Absolutely. How
because the
far
light
away
we're seeing is dead.
How
The
far
light we're
away?
but the light we're seeing is dead. By the time the light reaches us from many of these stars,
Cool
these
story,
stars
bro.
are
It's an image. Cool
these stars are burnt out long ago, but we're only seeing the dying light because of the speed of light. It takes light so long from these stars to travel to Earth that's what we're seeing, these stars. But a long time ago, a lot of these stars are already dead. They've already supernova or whatever, and the light we're seeing now is the remnants. It takes so long to travel here.
Dude, you are so indoctrinated with nonsense. So I'm going to prove that wrong.
I like science.
Okay,
no,
I just like science. Get into gravity.
I like NASA.
Explain your
Hashtag
nonsense.
NASA.
Then we're going to do gravity. Then we'll do NASA. All right, and you will still be indoctrinated.
This is amazing.
Light,
this is amazing.
when you have a light, it's called the light beam spreads out, and so it can't remain as intense. Like if you spread the light out, it's less, and then it spreads out farther. So light gets weaker and weaker. It's called the inverse square law of light. It's very simple. Every time you double the distance to a light, it's 1/4 of the brightness.
What if you make the light stronger?
Well, every time.
Big.
So every time you half the distance to a light, it's 4 times brighter. Okay, that's the inverse square law. It's very simple. All right. So our sun is 8 light minutes away. 93 million miles is 8 light minutes. Okay. So at 8 light minutes. So here we go, right here. If the sun was just literally a couple miles over our head, just for an example, it would fill the entire sky. You look up and this is all you would see. Okay.
I've seen sunshine too.
Well, I'm just saying, listen, not making a joke here. I'm trying to explain something. Then we move the light 93 million miles away and it reduces in size. Here's the sun right here. We move it away. It gets smaller until it's the size of a coin held at arm's length. Okay.
Okay.
So that's 8 light minutes away. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would that get?
Oh,
4 times.
It would get a lot smaller,
and
it would also get a lot less. It would be 1/4 of its brightness. Well, let's say I 8 times the distance. 8 times. You could prove with angular size that its size, even at 3 times, but I'm going to say 8 because that rounds up to a light hour. If it was 1 light hour away, it's scientifically provable for anyone willing to put their mind into it that you cannot see it. Your eye cannot resolve it. Just like that sailboat disappeared because its angular size got too small, the sun would disappear. And it also would
You're saying the universe becomes opaque. I mean,
hang on. Nothing can go that far away. There's nothing that's 8 light minutes away. Nothing. Okay. So at a light hour, it's provable that you can't see that sun. And they tell us Polaris is that we can see with our naked eye here in the north, 433 light years away. At 1 light hour, you can't see the sun.
Because it's much brighter, though.
It's much bigger. Betelgeuse is 950
so
times the size
hang on. Okay. They say that Polaris is 48 times bigger than the sun. Okay. So at 1 light hour, we can't see the sun. So 48 times 1 is 2 light days. If Polaris was 2 light days away, it's scientifically provable that you can't see it. It's 433 light years away. How much more? This is science. This is actual evidence. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can't see these things. And then also the brightness. Every time you double the distance, it's a quarter of the brightness. How fucking bright is it? If you want to really talk about it.
Are we in a galaxy even? Like, do you know when we look into the night sky, we can see the sphere of the Milky Way? Well, what is that?
Say that again.
So we can see the Milky Way. We can see the outer rims of the Milky Way. Like when we look into the night sky and all this, like, what is that like?
You can only see that in Ireland, dude.
Really?
Yeah, we're seeing lights.
What sort of lights? What are they? Why are they in the sky? What keeps them there?
What are they?
That's a great question. So here, talk about balloons in Arizona. Super clear day, night. We were sending up a balloon with the cameras pointing up so we can see the stars. Before it even left the ground, sky was filled with stars, no clouds in the sky. As we go up higher and higher in the heliocentric model, the stars should get brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger. We should see more and more of them. By the time it hit 50, 60,000 feet, all of the stars were gone.
See, that's weird.
Yes, thank you. That's weird. But and ask me to explain it. Well, I have theories, but I can't prove it. But in the heliocentric world that you think we live in, that's unexplainable. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know if it is or not. I admit
do you have
that
footage? Do you have that footage?
It's in the app under, I think it's under the stars footage. I'll show you that. I'll show you that in a moment. Okay. I'm not sure exactly where that one is. We lost a lot of videos during the YouTube purge a couple of years ago when they literally just killed a whole bunch of channels.
Do you think they were coming after the truth?
I'm looking to redo that again because it's really an easy one to do. It just takes time, people, location, and weather.
Okay.
So what was your question again?
Me?
Somebody had a question.
Roman.
Want to go back to gravity?
Yeah. My question was about the Milky Way. What are the stars? What are the planets? Like when we look into the night sky,
like meteors, dude. When a meteor crashes, what is that, man? Like where would that theoretically come from? Like if you're looking at elements that aren't even like here, you know what I mean? So like where do you explain a meteor?
Like what happened to the Earth? Yeah, exactly. What happened to the Earth and the craters that are like all over? Where do they come from?
Those craters are actually coming from the ground. The Earth bubbles up, right? We see.
Were dinosaurs real?
No.
Why not?
No,
why not?
Listen. Hold on. Yeah. You guys are all over the place. We're not going to get anything accomplished.
No, you're right.
Yeah, we got like 20 minutes left,
you gotta listen.
I'm sorry. I love dinosaurs.
So dinosaurs don't. Dinosaurs are, this is your proof of a dinosaur. All of the bones in the magazine in the museums are not real. They admit that they're not real, and
most of them
the representations though, aren't
right?
They?
The representation. But here's the thing: just take this. And dinosaurs is a whole nother show.
Yeah.
In the 1800s, some royal guy theorized in a paper dinosaurs. Yeah. Nobody ever had found a dinosaur in all of the mega construction that's been done all through history. No one ever found a dinosaur bone ever. He wrote a paper theorizing dinosaurs, and then guess what? Coincidentally, a year later to the day, he discovers the first dinosaur.
Can I counter that though? You say nobody in antiquity had ever discovered fossilized dinosaur bones, but yet throughout antiquity, there's mythologies based all around dragons. Well, if they did discover them, but they just had a different name or different explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. There was some big, absolutely. There was some big lizards. There was dragons, in my opinion. And but like this stuff, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, this doesn't exist. It structurally doesn't work. No one's ever seen a skull of any of the dinosaurs that they have. Go get some Stegosaurus dolls and tell me how they could mate.
What about the bones they found recently with the Titanosaurs in Argentina?
I don't know about them, but again, they're finding bones of giant humans. You ever hear about those humans that are 20 feet tall?
Somebody just mentioned it in the chat. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, there's a chat.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned that in the chat. The giant people existed.
Yeah. So, all right, listen, we're all over the place. Let's go back to gravity for a second. Yeah. Gravity is a theory. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor and liar. Sorry.
The grassy ice
and astrophysicist.
What he's not. He got a degree from a college an honorary degree from a college he never went to, and he's an expert on space, a place that he's never been to. Okay, it's all theoretical bullshit. He says when he's
everything's
asked about
theoretical
gravity,
though until it's proven, isn't it?
Everything he says, he's asked about gravity. He said, "We don't know what it is. We don't know." But they make up dark matter and dark energy to make it work.
That's your same answer for a lot of our questions.
Can you let me finish a fucking sentence before you say something else stupid? Okay, sorry. I'm trying to make a point.
Don't
50
be sorry.
Fucking times. All right. So he says they don't know what it is. They make up dark matter and dark energy. 96% of gravity is something they've never seen, never proven to exist. It's all bullshit. The Earth has a negative charge to it. The Earth doesn't move. That's testable, measurable. Every time they try to measure the movement of Earth's rotation, it always fails. Okay. The Earth has a negative charge. You can test it. It has it. It's there. Absolutely. And the sky, the dome, or just the sky, if you want to call it that, is positively charged. Anything that lifts up off the Earth is now in that positive field, and the negative says, hey, down is this way. It's a weak force, just like they say gravity is a weak force, and it says down is down. And then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I dropped a handful of rocks and ping pong balls over a body of water, they're both going to fall through the air because they're more dense. The ping pong balls will stay on top of the water. The rocks will go to the bottom. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. Down is down because the Earth says, hey, I got this negative charge. Now, how can we do a little experiment to test on that? Here's a tinfoil that's hooked up to these wires, and we're putting a negative charge into it. As soon as that negative charge is stronger than the Earth's negative charge, bam, it goes up. It's not defying gravity. It's defying a negative charge. Okay?
But that's foil. We're flesh and bone.
You know what? Let me hook you up to an electrode, see if we can get enough negative charge for you, and we'll lift you right off the ground. I'm pretty sure, but I don't think you'll live. And I'd be happy to do it, though.
I think you're my new favorite person, man.
All right.
Okay.
A little NASA, and then I'm gonna dump you guys.
No, that's fine. I appreciate it.
NASA was founded by these friggin' guys. Aleister Crowley, the most wicked man in the world. Ronald Hubbard, founder of scientism. Walt Disney, a cartoonist and pedophile. Okay. Werner von Braun, a Nazi scientist, and Jack Parsons, another friggin' occultist. Okay. These are the guys that are running NASA. NASA is an occult wizard Trek. Nobody's ever been to space. So
what roles apart from Werner von Braun?
Werner von Braun, on his gravestone, it says Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Okay, that's talking about the dome over the world. Why is a friggin' rocket scientist telling us about the firmament? Okay.
But wasn't he hired by NASA because of Operation Paperclip due to the advancements in rocket technology he made working for the Nazis during World War II?
Cool story, bro. There was no race. There was no space race because nobody's ever been to space. NASA, the Germans, the Russians, the Chinese, the Japanese, they're all in this together. The division of countries is fake. Okay. It's to divide us. There was a worldwide advanced civilization here less than 200 years ago called Tataria, and there's buildings all over the world built the same by these people, the buildings that we couldn't build today. And then some cataclysm happened, whatever it was, you want to call it mud flood, you want to call it whatever, and then the world was reset, and the people that took over know the truth of the old world, and they've literally enslaved us. They don't want us knowing that there's free energy. They don't want us knowing that there is no overpopulation, that there is no man-made climate change. They don't want us knowing any of this. They don't want us knowing that there's infinite food. I can plant a small garden in my yard. Water will fall from the sky. Food will come out of the ground. I can feed my entire neighborhood. Okay. But people don't know any of this. Rockets don't go into space, right? Every rocket launch is either launching something, that's fake as far as a real rocket. And you can tell the difference between the real ones and the fake ones. The ones that are actually launching up have a smoke trail that goes from the rocket to the ground. So they are launching something. What do I think they are? I think that they're filled with helium. But every time NASA launches a rocket, it goes up, it goes over, and then it crashes into the ocean out of view, and everybody sees a cartoon on television. If you watch these things within moments,
is that not part of the rocket breaking off? The rocket itself leaves the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's what they tell you, but they never show you an uninterrupted video of the rocket going up, right? The only time we get an uninterrupted video of a rocket going straight up is when amateurs do it. This was shot up in Arizona. It went straight up. It went up 73 miles. And if I had the sound on here, you'd hear it hit something. It sounded like it went into a thicker medium, not quite water, maybe some sort of plasma or something. And it went straight up. NASA will never give you that much footage. This is a little sped up just for time here. And it started floating kind of weird. But here's the funny thing. When it turned on its side, the camera can see the moon, and the moon was over New Zealand, which is on the other side of the ball at the time. So here's the moon right here. Okay. And at that time, New Zealand was on the opposite side of the earth, and the moon was over New Zealand, right? That there alone shows that we live on a flat plane.
Why is this footage real, but the footage I suggested isn't?
Well, this is actually, there was people there. This is real. There's 100 videos of it.
But when NASA do it, they have thousands of hours of footage of the rocket launches.
Yeah, this is NASA. Look at this thing, 4 million pounds blowing around in the wind like it's filled with helium. Do you know that NASA owns all of the helium companies in the world? And NASA and NATO are the two largest users of helium in the entire world?
Would you not say it would make sense to have that, like the whole structure to be kind of malleable with the wind, like a skyscraper, so it doesn't get rigid and snap with the weight of it? That's why it's moving.
So here is if 4 million pounds doesn't blow around in the wind, right? And 4 million pounds, when you start moving it, it doesn't turn around, it doesn't change directions. When these engines go off, watch this thing, it goes up and then it goes down. And these people, they make it look like they're right there. They're 10 miles away. They can barely see this thing, but it's all edited together. Like, oh, look at all the witnesses. All these people are here. And meanwhile, you know, the astronauts in there, they're floating around the space station, having fun, not wearing spacesuits. But a guy on a MiG fighter at 70,000 feet, they get a tiny little crack and he would pass out. His blood would boil in a second. But in space, it's no problem. There's so many problems with this. Like the thrust alone would melt and disintegrate this fence, but it doesn't even move. Edit. But here's the problem. This is a real launch of something. I say it's all a balloon. I say that the most helium is in the external tank, and this thing goes up and it curves out. And now I'm going to show you something. They always tell us that the external boosters can't be turned off, right? So a couple minutes later, they say it was 35 miles downrange, and the boosters come off, okay, and they don't shoot forward. They kind of turn sideways, and they're supposedly going the same speed sideways in the atmosphere that this thing's going. This thing has to get to 17,000 miles an hour. But if I had sound on here, when you see the explosive bolts or whatever let go, you hear it and see it at the same time. Well, think about thunder and lightning, distances. You hear it, see it at the same time. That's impossible. If it was 20 miles away, it would take 90 seconds. Right there. You hear, psh, right? And you can Google this yourself. On the NASA YouTube page, Google space shuttle launch. You'll get this exact video, okay? You hear it and see it at the same time. That sound, if it could make it all the way back 20 miles, would take 90 seconds to get there. That shows you that you're watching a friggin' movie, a cartoon of nonsense. Right? It's all edited. It's all complete and total bullshit. Here's a launch from recently that something went wrong, and it didn't have enough push, and this helium-filled tube just kind of moved off sideways. Okay.
Yep.
Here it is again. Moved off sideways. And then
this is all on NASA.
This one, I'm not sure if this was NASA or if this was another country, but it was aired live and it went wrong. And watch here, the cameraman's looking for it, and all of a sudden, oh, here it is. And it's literally these rockets that we see are the real ones are just helium with a little booster. And then all of a sudden they show you this. This is it. This is all you get.
What about the footage the Nazis had from the V2 tests? Why were they filling up rockets with helium and faking tests?
I don't know which footage you're talking about. So I'd have
from
to say
Werner von Braun, do you know, like all the test footage?
they tested rockets and stuff and missiles, and we have missiles; those are real. But intercontinental ballistic missiles is nonsense. They can barely get something that far at all. I mean, they could shoot these. I don't know how far like a Patriot missile goes, but they have some cool stuff. But nothing goes into space. Nothing, because space doesn't exist.
But what's the ISS?
Glad you asked that.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes. So whatever you want to talk about in the next 5 minutes,
Yeah. There's so many glitches if you look at this stuff. But let's just do the ISS for a minute, and then I'll show you how you can learn about this stuff yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's in the ISS, they're always faking stuff. If I show you them faking something once, that should be excuse me, that should be enough. So, somehow these guys are all floating around, but they have food that's sitting on a table. Like, why isn't that food floating around?
If you put the food there, why wouldn't it just stay there? It's low gravity, not no gravity.
Oh, it is low. You're telling me it's low gravity? They're telling
me
it's
low
no gravity. No, they're in gravity. They're falling around the Earth, and they have zero gravity. It's absolute zero on the space staff. They're in it, but they're falling at the same speed as gravity. That's the official story. So if I show them faking, like these guys are in front of a green screen. Well, how do I know that? Well, watch what happens. There's some glitches, and people say, "Oh, that's just a glitch." Watch his arm. That was a glitch. And then watch a glitch, and boom, there's the green screen right behind him. Green screen right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It looks like the container behind him is green for a second. I can't explain it.
I think it's a satellite glitch.
You're a NASA apologist, dude. You're a NASA apologist, right? And then they have stuff like here's Will Smith. Excuse me. Will Smith, is talking to the astronaut, and look, he goes up first. Where's he going? Well, this is like a tube, right? So then they fade him out and they bring him in. Watch his head. It's transparent. He became transparent. Why are they editing this stuff? It's supposed to be live.
You're saying Will Smith's supposed to be on the ISS there?
No,
Will Smith's just interviewing some dude.
Yeah. But watch his head. It becomes transparent. Mm-hmm. They're fading him in, fading him out. Here's the brains of the whole thing. Don Pettit, dumbest guy ever. And why they hire these guys that are astronauts? They're all so dumb. But watch the coffee that's in here. It comes out of sync. Oh, it's out of sync. This is showing you that this is all augmented reality crap. Here's another one with Chris Hadfield. These guys are in different rooms. They're in front of a green screen. This guy holding the microphone misplaces. He's looking at a monitor over towards me, and he's accidentally sticks the microphone right into his neck. Okay. This is showing you that it's not real. It's fake. Okay. Mm-hmm. Again, these fade outs happen all the time. So in his neck, this guy, watch his head, transparent head, edited nonsense. And they use these fade ins all the time.
Would you not say that's like satellite delay?
Satellite delay. Good. Nice mixing of words there. Okay. So this is a ball filled with helium. It's real. This here, that stuffed animal is not real. And I'll show you again. It's not there. Now it's there. And they even beamed it in. Okay.
Did they go for a Star Trek effect? Was that for?
They did go for the Star Trek effect because they're talking to kids, and they're literally they put this out in front of us. It's called augmented reality. They're playing with virtual reality stuff, and they have either contacts on or a camera, a lens behind the camera, and they're looking at stuff, and they're just manipulating stuff all around the space station. I mean, all around. They're manipulating it in real time.
Right.
Can I ask before we finish, to what end? All of this, to what end?
So what end? Why the lie? So why would they lie about this
everything.
Whole thing? Why would they lie about everything? People are like, what difference does the shape of the Earth make? It's because they don't want you knowing. They don't want you in a situation where you can't deny creation. They don't want you knowing that you are a powerful being here in this realm, whatever it is, simulation, physical simulation, whatever you want to call it. We're here. Nobody has control over us. We have free will. We have everything that we need, all the resources, but they're controlling us with, we pay for all of our power, our fuel. It should be free because it is free. It's everywhere. Tesla proved that. Just hang a copper wire high in the air and put a voltmeter on it. And there's voltage. There's tons of voltage in the air, and they don't want us to know
metal
about
on metal just creates voltage. It's small, but you can build on it. I've seen.
Well, there's if you look at old technology, these old buildings, they're all power transmitted. So why the lie is there's a whole bunch of reasons. Like they're hiding free energy. They're hiding that we're at the center of creation. They're hiding more land, extra territory. They're hiding, that we are at the center of creation, that we're not, they want us believing that we're a speck on an infinite speck flying through an infinite universe where an asteroid could take us out. Fake asteroids aren't real. Okay. They want us feeling insignificant and they want to control us for whatever it means. Maybe they're just evil Satanists and they want our souls. I believe that souls, which are a spark of the creator.
And this is something that I believe. I mean, yeah, the higher powers, people of, wealth and power. I mean, that's even on a whole nother level. That's, there's truth to that. I mean,
yeah. Fuck yeah.
Right.
Powerful
And
people are sucking.
And meanwhile, NASA gets $63 million every day. Well, that's what they're taking from us. Right? NASA doesn't get that. NASA could probably do what they do for maybe $100,000. Who knows? And they give us nonsense like this. Why we have children starving all over the world. We have atrocities, right? Elon's trying to go to Mars. Okay. Mars, to build a civilization there. Why don't you just go to Ethiopia and build a dome there, right? Because we already have air here and supply lines and everything else. But meanwhile, they want to go to Mars. We could build a whole nother world in Ethiopia in the middle of the desert, an air-conditioned, beautiful climate for
complete common ground.
Yeah,
absolute common ground.
It's all complete and total nonsense. So here's the thing, guys. Belief is the enemy of knowing, and you will not find this information online.
Whoops. Yeah, where can we find all this stuff, man?
I'm going to show you right now. It's on my app, which I'm just installing now. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And if you Google Flat Earth, you're going to end up with Behind the Curve. You're going to end up with Simon Dan. You're going to end up with all of these propagandists. Not Professor Dave, with all of their arguments that we have completely debunked in the app. If you hit the web button. There's one called Debunking the Debunkers. Where is that? Debunking the Debunkers. It's middle column on the left. Okay. And if you click that, up come a whole bunch of videos of all of the stuff that you guys have been brainwashed, completely debunking them. But you won't find these on YouTube. These videos will debunk every single debunking video you found. And it's not just going, it's fake. We're showing you what they're doing. We're showing you the evidence. We're showing you how it's done. Right.
I'm gonna put that app link into the description as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And then we have books. There's all sorts of other cool stuff, that relates to flat Earth. But most importantly, here's the deal. You guys know what Bitcoin is, right? You know what cryptocurrency is?
Yeah. Sure.
I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe. All you have to do is watch the daily video every day right here. You click that sucker. It opens up the YouTube app, and there you go. And you watch the daily video. Watch that every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, all of you except the Irish guy will be like, oh my God, the earth is not a ball. That's all you have to say. The earth is not a ball. You'll realize that. And then eventually you come around going, yeah, it's a flat realm. So you'll figure that out. But if you don't, if you think you have a proof, you know what? I'm not even showing you what I'm showing you. Damn it. Look, here's the app. So let me just go back again. The on the left, Debunking the Debunkers. And here are all the videos. If you go back to the featured video of the day right here, tap that and that video will play. Watch that every day for 2 weeks. But then right here is the frequently asked questions button, the question mark. Hit that, and up come the questions that you're going to ask. Hey, what about eclipses? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizon? Let me hit ships over the horizon. Up comes a playlist of videos that for some reason YouTube will not serve you. Okay, some reason it will not serve you. If you really want to just jump in head first, you hit the web button, and then the bottom second from the right is full length videos. Hit that, and up comes a playlist. you can't get through the first 2 videos without becoming a full-on flat earther, period. Okay.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah,
challenge accepted.
Well, except the Irish guy. He's gonna go over for
Well, there's 2 of us.
There's 2 of them.
You too. Not all Irish guys, just all Irish guys. And then, so the last thing is the handshake button, right? I can't point with that hand right here. You bring that. This is what I call the Flat Earth Friend Finder. And what it does is it shows you where all the other flat earthers are around you. It's just loading for a second here. And all of these are flat earthers around me.
Is that all people that have the app?
That have the app that have gone into the friend finder and added a username. If they didn't add a username, they're not on here.
Okay.
It's taking a second to load here. There they are. And in that circle right here, this circle, I have it set for 50 kilometers. And at 50 kilometers, there's 261 people. I could send them a group message like, hey, we're going down to the Irish pub down the road, 123 Main Street, and everyone shows up and you have a great time. They're all cool people.
That's actually pretty cool.
It's a good use of
that
GPS.
is really cool.
Yeah.
What GPS? We can get that's all. Look right here, question mark. So these are the things I can't cover it all. What about GPS is on here somewhere? Does anyone see it? It's satellites and GPS, top right. Hit that button, and you'll learn all about GPS on how NASA launches tens of thousands of these things on balloons. Okay. And GPS doesn't even use those. GPS is a ground-based tower system, maybe with some air assistance, but these are all videos on GPS. People go, what about the Himawari 8, the one right at the top of the screen right now? Watch that video. We found a NASA server. We're showing how they fake all of this GPS stuff. Not us saying it's fake, showing you the NASA files live on how they fake it. Okay. So again, everything I'm saying is provable, but you have to,
how do satellite phones work?
Satellite phones? I don't know. That's a great question. Maybe they're using the balloons. Maybe they're using, there's so many balloons up there now. Maybe that's what they use. Maybe they're bouncing off of the firmament. They're just a stronger signal. Maybe they stuck a receiver into the firmament.
The old Loran system.
It's the old Loran system. Exactly.
I don't know.
The regular GPS is the Loran system with some stuff put over it. But again, the Flat Earth Friend Finder is awesome, and you can message people. You can tap on a dot. You can send people a message.
I'm gonna get on there.
You can fill out now. The new I'm literally just today uploading the iOS new version where it has the friend finder on it. It shows you the orange dots are people that have just joined, and that way you can reach out and do stuff. So
on the App Store, is it, Dave?
It's in the App Store. You can just look up. You can go to flatearthdave.com. Or you can, if you're looking on a TV screen, you can just scan this, or just look the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Make sure in the Google Play it's by Blue Water Bay, because there's already a knockoff there,
of course,
which is a gatekeeping app. And
all I want's the flat truth, man.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
So
all right,
here's the last thing: the app is $3. Period. If you want to be able to send messages to other people, you have to subscribe. It's $11 for the year. You don't have to subscribe. Get the app, $3. Read the reviews. People love it. And then if you want
to start $14 if you wanted to.
If you want to message people, $14, right?
Okay.
But it's only $3, and everything comes with it. You got the friend finder. You got everything. And then if somebody sends out a group message, hey, I'm having a meetup. They usually put their details in there, the place, the time, and an email address. So you don't even need the subscription unless you want to message people.
Can I see? Yeah, I can see that if I don't spend.
Yeah, you can see it. You can get all the incoming messages. So I made it less. You're buying me less than a friggin' pint of beer. Okay. All right. That's it.
All right.
Especially these days.
Dave, I really appreciate you dealing with our nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I appreciate yours too. But
that was a lot of fun, Dave.
FlatEarthDave.com. That's where you can find the links to everything. All right, guys.
All right. Hey, and as soon as I get all this stuff, the audio put up and it's out there, I'll send you links to everything too.
Awesome. Thanks. And don't use a disc floating in space as a thumbnail. I'll send you some images with this image and some stuff. If you're going to make a good thumbnail, make a good thumbnail. Don't make a friggin' Flat Earth.
If you have any links that you want to add to my description, just email them to me.
I will send them to you right now. Thanks.
All right. Yep. Have a good one.
Guys.
You're a legend, Dave.
Later.
Bye.
What'd you think?
That was fucking cool.
That was amazing. But we couldn't get a word